Hey people, welcome back to my MCJ Studio YouTube channel. It has been a whole week and y'all back that fast. Well, I did miss you, I still love y'all. So with that being said, let's go to the video and talk about my sketchbook. So today we're going to talk about the usage of my sketchbook, or actually what I've been putting in my sketchbook. And I have to get this secret off my chest. You ready for this? I don't use my sketchbook that often. Don't look at me. Yeah, like, no, for real, I really don't use my sketchbook that often. It's like, what, girl? You're an illustrator? yeah, exactly. I'm an illustrator and I don't use my sketchbook that often. Back in the day when I was drawing as a little girl, I just took paper from my brother's room and started to draw. And to his annoyance, he would like really had a hard time with me. Oh my gosh. He had a hard time with me. He had a really hard time with me. But yeah, I never had actually a sketchbook. My mother, not to blame her or anything, or to put my blame at somebody, or to say, well, I had a bad youth because I didn't have a sketchbook. I just did not have a sketchbook. Anything that I could draw on, I would just draw on. I never needed a sketchbook. I never had a need for a sketchbook. I never, the sketchbook was never part of my life. And I have to say, now that I'm a little bit older, I'm not that old. I know this gray hair maybe says it so, but no, I'm not that old. I don't think that having or not having a sketchbook is such a big deal. However, just to have all your thoughts and all the creativity and all the, illustrational input that you have, to have them at one place is just darn handy. So this is just something that I have to have in my arsenal. It's just something that I have to, accept, that when you're an artist, having a sketchbook is actually a good way to see your own progress and see the way that you're working, and having that creative source somewhere that you can always, get at, and you just pick it up and be like, wait a minute, I used to draw something like that. I can go to my sketchbook and have a look at it and just see what I've been doing. So having that process now really being installed in my whole in this illustrative part of my life is just mandatory, because I will tell you how I store my sketches. Are you ready for this? It can be quite embarrassing, I don't know if I'm ready. This is my storage of all the loose papers. Now mind you, I have a couple of these type of folders in which I would in which I store all my my drawings and my illustrations, and I have several of them over here, just to show you something. Like, this is like a really old illustration. This is a very old illustration that I made. I think I made it last year with Indian ink for the outline, and I used Copic markers and also a pencil. Making that transition to a sketchbook is the best change that I've ever made in my life. So this will be definitely something of the past. I will not be using this anymore. Like, having a sketchbook is just a little bit more professional and also a little bit more handy just to work from. Things that I implement in my sketchbook are, it's really simple. Objects subjects, stories. That's it. So objects, that can be buildings, it can be an apple, it can be still life, it can be something that I see outside, it can be something that I've seen. I do use a lot of reference. I'm not that skilled yet that I can make a mental picture in my head and just put it down on paper. Unfortunately, I'm not. But I use a lot of reference. I don't think there's anything bad about using reference. It's a great way just to develop your own skills and also eye-hand coordination. So I like to use reference. And just going, through pictures or something that I see on the internet or something also that I just get from the outside, because I love to make photographs. That's another hobby of mine. And making photographs of things that I see outside is a great inspirational source for me to create things. So object is definitely something that I can always, get into. Second thing that I'm using are subjects, people. And that can be very loosely. It can be like a semi-realistic drawing, or it can also just be a very animated piece of drawing. It can be only the face, like the profile or portrait, or it can be like a character design. So I have a character in my head, I start to sketch the character, and from that I create different poses.